Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you very much for joining me here. I hope you're having an amazing and wonderful, happy Friday. It's hard not to be happy when Bitcoin is up 33% in the last 7 days. It's really awesome to be able to see that. So congrats to everyone's portfolio who's successfully recovered. Some altcoins are still damaged, but they're just waiting for this to be a real thing. So I would expect Bitcoin dominance is going to start to decrease. Altcoin dominance is going to increase in the relative near future once we start consolidating at that previous support level there, about 25,300. There's absolutely no guarantee it's going to retrace that far. But just know the way things are right now, we're fairly overextended and it would make sense we have a slight pullback. Again, I wouldn't just sit there and wait for it because it may never happen. It does seem more likely that the range of 28,000 could be retested. So keep this in mind. Bitcoin hasn't been in this range hardly at all. Okay, so we look at its history, just generally speaking, the amount of time that Bitcoin has spent in the range of 26,000 to 28,000 is literally like 1 or 2 trading days. You can see 2 or 3 trading days here possibly where the price action is at about 26,000. Then it bridged up to about 20,000. So maybe about 4 or 5 days total in all of Bitcoin's trading history. So it literally has no idea what this is all about at this point. So we're kind of in price discovery mode, for lack of better terms. Okay. So that's really cool in a sense because it does help us imply that 28,000 is a strong probability to be tested now that we're above some of those levels. Okay. Keep in mind we want to look at the macro, the weekly, and the daily, and the monthly, and kind of ensure that we're on the right side of the tracks. We are tentatively, but keep in mind this, the candlestick for the monthly and/or weekly hasn't closed yet. So we got to recognize that this is still a little premature, but it's looking very good. A lot of money coming into the market right now. I think somewhere in the range of like $1.2 billion was transferred to exchanges over the last 5 trading days. So there's a lot of money back in the market right now. Explains why the price is pushing so high and the shorts are getting squeezed out. Okay, so definitely something just to kind of note. So we'll take a look at the macro. We'll also take a look quickly at high block capital. But just to note, if you're not a financial advisor like me, I'm not a financial advisor, then I recommend considering becoming part of my community because we do have a large group of considerable traders and we're all learning and growing together, and I have a trading academy as well as amazing Discord. So if you want to learn from my trading university and of course you'll be part of an esteemed community of traders, absolutely come check it out. We got some awesome traders here. A lot of my admins are very good and we just keep on keeping on, right? That's just kind of the way it is. So I like to highlight the positive there. We'll talk about that another time. Also make sure to reference our partnerships as well. We have a lot of trading competitions with BitGet, Bybit, and of course Mexi on the horizon. Okay, so really awesome stuff there as well. All that's in our website as well as a link in the description. So here's what we want to do is we want to focus more so on the macro. We're gonna look at the monthly and the weekly. Then we're gonna go ahead and jump into high block capital and kind of see what that looks like. Okay. So with the monthly, there's some important factors here we want to kind of recognize. Okay, so first of all, the important thing is being above the 50-day SMA. Now, if we take a look at a different chart, that's a little bit longer. Let's see if I can pull that right one up here. We can see the 50-day SMA, the price action's really never come down below that, up until recently. Okay, so we've wicked down during COVID, of course, March of 2020, and previously came really close in January of 2019. But ever since then, we've never truly been below that level. I mean, I think you could probably say that it's been below at one point when it first started, but in truth, we've always been above that. So with us potentially breaking above that, just say we get a candlestick closure above the level of about 25,000, that's roughly where it's trending, that'd be a very positive sign. Furthermore as well, we can see 50 on the RSI is getting tested. We also have a MACD convergence, finally. So a lot of cool stuff is on the horizon. Doesn't necessarily mean it's just going to go parabolic and explode, but it does imply that we have some good momentum here, and I'd love to see a closure at 25K or higher. Again, keep in mind with this doji candle from last month, that does imply potential downside or a red month this month, but I'd love to see that that completely abolished, right? So that'd be fantastic. That didn't work out. Same thing here as well. We can also see the 200-day simple moving average on the weekly, which is very close to the same math if you do the math for a 50-day simple moving average on the monthly, right? It's basically just divided by 4. So that being said, that's trending right around 25,500. So the reason why that's beneficial is because anytime we've been above the 200-day simple moving average, it's always been fairly positive, which again, in its history, we've been above that almost every single time. This is absolutely the worst case scenario here for us in general, as far as the price action being below some key level resistances. So now that we're above that, again, this is tentative. You got to keep this in mind. This is not foolproof. This weekly candlestick could very well still close at 25,300, right? So we got a few more days left there. And the probability that is fairly low, but it's also fairly high, keep in mind, because of the fact that 25,300 is that support level and resistance level we just broke through. Okay, it's a new support potentially, but also previous resistance. So that being said, we are in a position right now where the weekly and the monthly looks favorable, but we need to wait for the weekly and the monthly to close, right? Again, try not to get too ahead of yourselves, but it does absolutely look like we want to make a run for 28,000 instead of course, what we're seeing currently right there at about 25.5, 26. So that being said, that's kind of the big picture. Let's take a look at the background stuff here, right? This is all the background information when it comes to, things you can't see on the charts, okay? So first of all, just touch on this open interest here. You can see that there's a lot of open interest occurring right at the price point of 26,000. What is that? Is that 26,000? Hold on, I'm sorry. Yep, 26,600. Okay, so 26.6, 26.8, right in that range, we see a lot of new positions opening. Okay, so a lot of interest has occurred ever since we've passed that range of about 25,000. Okay, so keep in mind, this is just in the last 12 hours. If we go back a little bit further, we'll be able to see more open interest at a lower price point. But generally speaking, you can see there's a lot of open interest in the range here of 25,000 upwards of about 26,500. Okay, so that's a good sign. That really tells us there's potential for further upside. Furthermore, as well, we can also see here, we'll look at the heat map, a lot of liquidation levels occurred about 25,500. That's when shorts got squeezed out, likely yesterday and the day before when the price got wicked out at that point. Okay, we see a lot of shorts probably hedging their longs there at about 27,000. That's the new tentative resistance. Okay, so again, good stuff there for the most part. We can also see here as well, big surprise, look at how many longs are prevailing. In other words, shorts are getting liquidated like crazy. When that's green, that basically means the price is going up and shorts are obviously getting hit hard. We can also see open interest is increasing as well. Now that we've closed above that key level resistance, that just implies we have more people, trying to get into the market. But we also have more asks than bids, which basically just implies that there's a lot more shorts than longs right now. Even though they're getting liquidated, they feel more safer and secure to short at the 26,700, 26,800 range than they did before. Okay. Surprisingly, fear and greed index is actually a little bit lower today than it was yesterday, but that just implies the fact that people are kind of scared the price is going to pull back. Okay, so let's take a look and see why that may or may not happen. Okay, so on the daily, we're testing 70 on the RSI. So that being said, there's a likelihood that we get rejected right here where we're at, and we close at or below 26,350. Okay, so if we close below 26,350, that does imply we're going to get rejected at that same level as before. And of course, that implies there's a lot of selling pressure there. It also reaffirms the fact that we have, we're at 70 on the RSI as well for the relative strength. Okay, so in the last 14 days, we're maxing out on that level. Not to say it can't go above, but if we don't break above 70 on the RSI, then there's a good chance we'll stay at this level or lower. Okay, it would make sense for the price to kind of be range bound between 25.3 and just say 26.8 because of the simple fact that it needs to consolidate at that previous resistance in order to build that foundation to continue higher. We can also see here on TD sequential that we're at a 6, and this effectively tells us that we are 6 days into this continuation. Like I mentioned before, roughly a week's worth of continuation is about 33% gain in just 7 days. That being said, we have maybe 2 or 3 more days before the price action hits its extreme point and it turns itself around. As you see here before, 1 all the way down to a 9, full on 9 on TD sequential, ramps right back up. It's not a guarantee it's always going to happen, but when you see a 9 on TD sequential, it's a very common characteristic for the price to turn itself around. Once we hit a 9 here, there's a chance it'll turn itself around too. I'm not saying that the price will drop hard and fast, but there is a good chance that it could gravitate a little more towards this 0.618 level at 23,000. That's what I expected originally recently when we sent our short signal for one of our Ethereum trades. And we got stopped out at a little 12% loss. It wasn't anything crazy, but we're not using massive amounts of leverage and ensuring that we are, maximizing our gain because we did take profit, larger profit on Bitcoin trade the day before. So the key is to minimize your loss and maximize your gain. That's the whole point of this, the whole point of being a good trader, right? It's not about how accurate you are. It's about how much you can gain or lose at any given time. So let's take a look at the 4 hour. We're at a 9 on TD sequential. It makes sense for the price to pull back as well here, hitting that overextended state right there at 26,800. We can also see this Fibonacci retracement level right at 1.272. So we got range bound activity here. Price breaks through resistance. What stops it from retracing back to support? it would make sense that it comes back down here at this level, just based on the overall sense of things. Now, there's absolutely potential for a short squeeze to occur. But once again, let's take a look at momentum here. We're over 70 on the RSI. It's starting to lose its momentum. It was already overextended going into that. We have a MACD potential shift in dynamic. This isn't hard, but it's plateauing already. And that tells us that it's having difficulty getting much further. So to me, the 4 hour tells us it's more likely to decrease than increase in the immediate future. So I wouldn't be surprised if the price action pulls back a little bit before it ramps up again. Keep in mind, it may not be that much. A lot of times the most recent high, which is right here at about 25,800, is going to be the most recent low. Okay, so a lot of times when it pulls back, it may not pull all the way back to this support level. It'll pull back potentially to the most recent high. So if it pulls back to the most recent high, 25,850, let's round up, just say 25,900 should be a profit target or just above that level. Okay, you can already see the price retraced about 26.1. So again, it's kind of trying to do that. All right, so let's go ahead and wrap this up here. Let's go ahead and take a look at the 1 hour, and then I'll show you a quick little pointer on the 15-minute. We'll call it a day. TD sequential on the 1 hour, big surprise, extreme overtime here. We hit a 9, not enough period of consolidation, while it was a pennant type of pattern. Broke out to the upside, retracing now. There's a good chance we could see another 7 hours of continuation to the downside. Bear in mind too, traditional markets are down by 1%, and Bitcoin's up by 5.5%. So try not to get too ahead of yourselves here, of course, because there's a good chance the price action could pull back a little bit further. Again, statistically speaking, we should see a pullback. That's what we're looking at here on the charts. Fundamentals is factoring in. There's a lot of things that are really happening in the back end that you need to pay attention to. Those are things that we talk about in our roundtable discussions every other week. We're going to be live streaming those as well. Keep that in mind. Those are every other Wednesday, and we're going to be watching the Fed meeting here next Wednesday live and seeing if that is something worth, trading into, right? You want to be cautious and careful on those days, but generally speaking, we're going to take a look at that as well. So this is the hourly. One last thing we want to take a look at is the cloud. Of course, we're going to be above, obviously, and we have pretty much all green lights here to leave your long position open. Okay, so again, I'm not telling you to short by any stretch. I'm just saying that shorts might be more appropriate now just based on overextension than before. Let's look at the 15-minute and take a quick look at our CC golden indicator here, and we can see a lot of good opportunities that have been occurring here. Okay, so if we look back, we can see pretty much it's signaling every time we want to get in and then get out. Again, these are safe conservative entries, but you got to keep in mind that's what you want to look for in the market. Okay, so bottom line, we have confirmation here and confirmation to close the trade, confirmation to open, confirmation to close. What I'm getting at is the fact that right now at this point, it's not telling us to open any long positions just yet. Okay, so we're still on our way down, even though we have that positive momentum to the upside. So be careful taking a long position right now, just because of course we're trending into this resistance level. If it does come up much higher, once again 28,000 would be the rejection point, and that would be a case in point where the price action would turn itself around. I don't foresee us coming closer or passing 28,000 just yet, based on the fact that we have had that work as a previous resistance level. So we can see here, of course, there's this range right here at 28,000 where the price action is effectively consolidating and basically just continuing right here in this range. Okay, so again, there's a chance we could wake up to 28K, but I think breaking through that right now would seem less likely. Just again, statistical probabilities is all it is. There's no guarantees. Absolutely could be wrong. I'm wrong all the time. But again, I minimize the loss and maximize the gain and stay profitable in this industry, and those are all things I like to teach. So again, be careful and cautious. Really cool stuff here. Once more, I forgot to mention, but this indicator, CC Golden, it is coming to my community here soon. We'll have that available on our website, of course, if you'd like to pick that up in the relative near future, like within the next couple weeks. So thanks again for joining me here. Hope you have a great rest of your day. We'll look forward to seeing you in the next one. Take care and be safe. See you soon.